All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of After the Whistle Plus One segment. And today we got a special guest. We got Mr. Benjamin Bullock here. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for taking the time to come here to chat. I'm always looking for new guests to shed some light and just, always good to have a good conversation with new faces, man. But
Yes, sir.
first, how's you? How's everything been for you? I mean, since quarantine hit.
Quarantine and everything. It's been busy, man. Luckily I still have a job. Thank God. I'm a content producer for one of the biggest churches out here, African American church that is Concord Baptist Church. So, us moving to a completely digital platform, man, it's kind of, put a lot of, not to say a lot of pressure on me, but it's definitely increased my workload and, it's been kind of crazy, but man, we almost going on 3 months on this thing. So, we just got to make it work, man. So it's been going well.
Yeah, talk about that, because everybody, all the people I've talked to, it's all been, some people, it's the transition was easy. Some it took a little time to get used to it, but being a content producer for a church, a big church as well. Just tell me how did that change your day-to-day operations?
Well, for me, it just went from just work from home, you know what I mean? Because I have a 1-year-old, you know what I mean? So I was used to being out the house and being able to get my work done, peace and quiet, no problem. So it was an adjustment like the first month or so, because I had a routine, man. Like, when you work from 9 to 5, you go in, you do what you need to do, you go to the gym afterwards, you come home, you had to kind of adjust that now. You know what I mean? So the best thing I try to do was just kind of keep myself on a daily routine like I was going to work. So try to get up at like 8, get some breakfast, go to work at 9. By the time the baby and the wife wake up, usually it's around like 10:30, 11, check in with them, grab something to eat. You know what I mean? Sorry for the horns. They doing a drive-by graduation for some people. So
it's all good. It's all good.
yeah. Just really just try to stick to a routine, man. And then when it came to the actual work, man, you actually just had to really your creativeness really had to be challenged, man. You know what I mean? In terms of just try to tell that story about, obviously church and God and all that thing, but also somehow incorporate, this crisis on our hand, try to inspire people and everything, try to get closer to God. And it's been a really good transition, man. Yeah. And it's been really, really good so far.
Yeah, we don't hear a lot about people being content producers for churches. We don't hear that a lot. It's not talked about a lot. Just how did you get into that role? How did you get there?
Well, I moved to Dallas about 3 years ago. I worked at a university on their marketing side, and I've been doing video for quite some time now. So I ended up joining this church. One of the main reasons why I did, because their content was just so dope, man. Like their in-service video production was good. Their social media production was good. So I figured that was just a good opportunity for me just to be able to serve and get involved in the church, help out doing production, doing Sundays and, just kind of in social media team, which ended up happening, you know what I mean? So I joined the social media team, just as a volunteer, just be able to serve and give back and, did a really good job with it. Ended up running the lead pastor's Instagram page and Snap stories and everything. So I did a really good job. And then a position came open with them. I think it was a communication specialist job, which is what I have now. But this is about 2 years, like last year. And I didn't take it. I actually took a job with the Cowboys instead.
Yeah.
So I was a producer with them, but then this job came open again. And then they said they really wanted me. So it's about 15, 20 minutes from the crib. And, I work directly with the opposed to, because I live in the southern part of Dallas, in the south suburbs, in DeSoto, and where, the star where the Cowboys are located at, DeSoto and Frisco. So that's about a good 45-minute to an hour drive every single day.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So this job worked out good, man. It's been really cool. It's really good to work with like-minded individuals, and you know what I mean. And it's really was really been a really good thing for me is that you're able to impact people through your work. You know what I mean? Bring them closer to God and that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, definitely, because everybody in some capacity is using social media to boost something, just to get more channels or get more people to come following. So how did the content you produce help the church? How do you guys kind of navigate that to boost the church's membership or just more awareness for what the church you go to does.
Yeah, so pretty much, man, I said my role, I work directly with the pastor. So I want to say about 80 to 90% of his content, video content I produce. So me and him, we come together top of each month, work together, put together a plan what's going to be, number one, engaging, just kind of give people just inside look into what the life as a pastor is. You know what I mean? I'm a pastor's kid, so I have a very good idea as to what they go through on a daily basis and what people want to see. You know what I mean? Because there is a stigma out there about pastors that they make all this money.
Yeah.
They're flying the private jets. All they do is just work one time a week, and that's just to preach to get up in front of a congregation. That's all they do, which is totally the opposite, man. Because as a pastor, man, you're a community leader as well. You're leading a staff. Our staff at our church, we're a mega church. We have close to about 30, probably about 40 to 50 full-time employees. So that's a real life organization right there. So you got to lead that too. So my job is to capture all of that and show people like, hey, this is what we're doing, not only for the work of God, but also for the work of Southern Dallas. Our church is located right in the South Dallas, right in Oak Cliff, and a heavily Black community, poverty stricken in some instances, but it's getting a lot better. So my job is to really just broadcast that to the world, to what our pastor is doing to bring those closer to God, and through our members and our men's ministry, even stuff when it comes to his kids, you know what I mean? Producing that kind of stuff. Like, for example, I did a video, the first video I did for him, we went out to Harvard. He actually spoke there for a Black History Month event, and I was able to put together like a whole behind the scenes package that was about 45 seconds to a minute. Came out really dope, man, and it was able to show people that, not only is he traveling, but he's going to Harvard, places like Harvard, to kind of give you an inside track. He's talking to an all-white audience about white supremacy and the things that Black people have gone through throughout our entire tenure here in this country, and just all that kind of stuff. So for me, that was really dope, man, because, like I said, it's this stigma out there that preachers are, they balling, they got all these private jets, they got Bentleys, yada, yada, yada. And, unfortunately, that is the case with some guys, but not with the guy I work with. And he's all about family, he's all about the community, and he's all about the church.
And also, in most cases, my grandfather, he was a preacher. And also, most cases, a lot of the preachers, some actually have a full-time job during the week.
Exactly.
And then they do the full-time job, and whatever obligations they have for the church during the week leading up to Sunday service, they'll do that too. So they kind of on double duty.
Mm-hmm.
And then some, they're at the church Monday through Sunday.
All right.
All day,
that's the only job. That's the only job in some cases.
So I understand what you mean with that stigma, but it's like a few, but those preachers that are really about the word, they're not about that.
Exactly.
Talk about your transition from sports. What made you transition out of sports?
I wouldn't say I necessarily transitioned out of sports. I would say, because I still do it on the side. That's always going to be my bread and butter, my passion. But man, like when you get older, and you'll see this when you get older, man, like when you have a family and, time isn't really always on your side, especially when you work in sports, man, you know what I mean? Because as you know, it's a lot of long hours, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of traveling. And, in our business, man, like you got to grind to get up top, man. Like if you slow down or if you lagging behind us, you're just going to stay there. You know what I mean? You're not going to get any better. So I did the sports grind. Let's see. I've been in sports. I was in sports full-time wise from 2010 to about 2018. Okay. So I worked at ESPN, Delaware State University, University of Missouri, Kansas City, and LSU, and then I also worked for the Cowboys. So the reason why I got out, man, I just wanted a better quality of life. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the number one thing, and to be able to also another thing too is to be able to control my my content and where I wanted to go. You know what I'm saying? Because working for a news station or company, man, you can't really put it out there the way you really want to. You kind of put your own twist to it because you guys got guidelines. Well, I necessarily don't really have to worry about it anymore because one, I'm independent. I can do what I want, which is why I started the IG Live thing. Crunch time earlier this month, and then you know what I mean. So that's kind of why I went that way. But I'm still very heavily connected within the industry, and if I wanted to get back into it, I definitely can because I have enough connections out there. If I were to get back into it, it'd definitely be an administrative role. If it was on the college athletic side, or if it was on the production side, hop back into being a producer. But I kind of like the way my life is right now.
Yeah. Let's talk about your IG Live. You started that, and during the Last Dance, you would have recap shows. just having different guests on, recapping the episodes. Overall, with The Last Dance, after we sit back and kind of let it all marinate,
right?
What was your impression of it? What was your thoughts of the whole thing?
Man, it was great, man. Just on an overall scale, man. Even though now it's getting a lot of backlash, it's saying like, oh, Jordan like manipulated the whole thing to make him seem like he was a superhero and everybody was a villain, which is totally not the case if you really go back and watched everything. You know what I mean? But I thought it was dope, man, because it covered everybody's life that was in there. You know, that had to do with that '98 team, whether it was Tony Kukoc or Steve Kerr about his dad dying overseas, getting shot, which is I didn't even know nothing about that story until I watched The Last Dance. So I loved it, man. I mean, it covered so much time, and especially in these days, man, like, you get that conversation, who's better, LeBron or Jordan, or LeBron would have dominated in this era, or Jordan would have dominated in this particular era, you know what I mean? So like, it created a lot of debate and a lot of discussion, but overall, man, just from a video content perspective, and as a producer, like me, I loved it, man. It covered so much, and I just know it took a lot of work for them just to gather all that footage just to make it all happen.
And that's what I was going to get to too. With all this backlash, folks are not understanding that on the production side, they probably were still in the process of editing certain interviews, and they had to rush that just to get it out. So maybe the stuff they originally had planned to put out for June, when it originally was supposed to put out, they had to kind of leave that out. I think a lot of people aren't really looking into that. Everybody just looking at
which is cool, because they from our standpoint, like, we understand, you know what I mean, what those guys are doing on the back end on the production side and all that. But so that's why I don't really try to argue with too many people on Twitter and people who really don't know what they're talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then with some of the players, like, Horace Grant goes on a rant last week, and then reports Scottie Pippen is furious on how he was portrayed. I mean, what do you make of that? Because I personally think it's kind of hilarious, because Horace Grant, on the documentary, he was calling the Detroit Pistons a bunch of
right,
and then now he's acting this way. So
they just playing the victim, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the thing is, like, it's not like they told any lies about Scottie. All of it was true. And like, he demanded a trade in the middle of '98 season, bro. Well, how does that make you look? It's your fault that you didn't negotiate a better contract when you had the opportunity.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's a storyline. As you know this, man, like, when you're a media, you have to tell it's either black or white. There's no gray area. You have to tell it like how it is.
Yeah.
You can't be nobody's friend. Like, you have to tell it like how it is, man. Like, you can't. That's a good way to put it. You can't you can't just side with an argument if it favors your answer to it. You see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, definitely.
You just have to tell the story how it is. Pip, like, this is what happened. Like, they even went back and told the story of him growing up in Arkansas, which I thought was dope.
Yeah.
And he's mad about that. Like, come on, bro. Like, and then the whole Horace Grant thing. My thing with that is, especially when it came to the Jordan rules, and Jordan said, Horace leaked all the information out to Sam Smith. And then, like, where is he else going to find that information from? Sam Smith, you know what I mean? Like, it's little stuff like that. Like, okay, I get what you're saying, bro, but at the end of the day, like, it was a really good documentary, and it told everything: the good, the bad, and the ugly. You got it. Yeah. That's life. It's not like nothing is ever all the way 100%. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything's going to have the good, the bad, and the ugly, and that's just part of life.
And it also they made it seem like they left out the bad parts of Jordan, his gambling issues or fighting with teammates. They made, like, they're arguing this, but Jordan also, people are looking at Jordan like he comes off as a bully. Some of the stuff he was doing, how he treated Jerry Krause all the time, just picking on him. And then also with Scottie Pippen, the surgery. When he did, he said it himself.
That's another point. Like, bro, like, Pip, you can't be trying to claim the victim when you specifically said, I'm not trying to F my summer up because of the surgery. I'm just going to delay it and stick it to the Bulls. So, hey, y'all don't want to pay me? Cool. I'm going to make y'all suffer.
And then he follows that up with saying he'd do it if he had to do it over again.
Exactly. So what is Pip really mad about? Really? Are you really going to sit up here and say, oh, I don't like the way I was portrayed? But, bro, you said a lot of the stuff. We're just going based off of what you said and what you did.
Yeah, that was really that thing was really it was mind-boggling.
Very, very mind-boggling, but it's all good. It was still good overall. I loved it though.
Yeah, and then we still got the whole Isaiah Thomas and
that's starting to catch some heat now too. I don't know if you saw like a tape was leaked or whatever. Yeah, I got to check it out. You know, the audio about Jordan not wanting him on the Dream Team. So
it's another thing that we all. I mean, everybody knew Jordan may have denied it in the documentary, but this is something that we all knew he didn't want Isaiah to be on the team. Some of the other guys probably didn't. So some of this backlash, I truly.
Man, and these guys too old to be going through this, man. 92 was what, like 28 years ago?
Yeah. And you know what's funny too is they talk about how players in this era are very sensitive and they can't handle criticism, and now they're
yeah, it's yeah, bro. It's two ends of the street, man. I don't know, bro. It provides good TV drama and talking points like we're talking about right now. So it is what it is.
Yeah, definitely. And also, what impressions did you get from Phil Jackson from this? Because a lot of people are just like Phil Jackson. He just always walks into the right situation and just knows how to not screw things up.
Man, look, I love Phil Jackson, man, because people always say, well, you know, it's hard to win titles without any talent, which is true. But it's also hard to win titles when you do have talent. Because we've seen in the past with talented teams, for example, Miami had the big three together, for 4 years, they only won 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to me, Phil, he provided a great example as to how you cultivate talent and you get everybody to play together on the same page. Even if you have to bend the rules a little bit, you can't treat everybody the same because everybody's not the same. You know what I mean? Especially when it came down to Rodman, Jordan, other players, man. I mean, that's just kind of how it is. And that's just how a leader should be, bro. Like, you should know, like, you have – the one thing I appreciate about Phil, he knew his team.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of these people, even in the job force, man, like, you'll have a boss or whatever. He really don't know nothing about his players, knows nothing about his employees or people that was on his leadership team. But Phil knew, like, what made Dennis go. Because at the end of the day, he knew Dennis needed a break, but at the same time, I know I don't have to worry about him not missing a game, even though he did go to Nitro and miss practice in the middle of the finals. You know what I mean?
Dennis Rodman, he went to Nitro. He got a vacation. His time with the Bulls was interesting.
Right.
And with all that, when it came down for him to practice or for the game, he always was there and did exactly what he does consistently.
Right.
So
he understood, and that's what I give credit to Phil. Now, I don't think I would have been that lenient on Rodman. That's just me personally. But then again, everybody isn't Phil Jackson. You know what I mean? Everybody can't convince Michael Jordan, like, hey, you scoring 35, 40, 45 points a game or average that on a nightly basis isn't going to win us a championship. Mm-hmm. No. Only somebody like Phil can get somebody like Michael Jordan with that kind of dominant personality, you know what I mean, to kind of realize, okay, maybe I do need to peel back. Maybe I do have to trust your word. Not everybody has that type of convincing voice to be able to talk to a person like that. And I think that's what a lot of people don't really understand about, not just necessarily about coaching and Phil Jackson, but just some people who are in leadership positions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you definitely have to know how to – you just have to know who you're dealing with.
Everybody's different. Everybody's different.
Very, very different. And what's also different with the NBA is the postseason that's allegedly going to start and working on starting it soon. Did you see that they have it as like FIFA World Cup style?
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a 24 playoff.
Yeah.
I don't like that, man. I think they should just cancel the whole season, bro. Let's just start back up.
Listen, you know, I was talking with somebody last week. I said everybody wants the NBA to come back. They're excited. But I like at this point, I think they should just take this L for the year because –
just take the L.
It lost the energy that it had. There was a lot of great matchups coming down the stretch.
Right.
The seedings were going, and it just I'm just not excited for it.
I'm not either, man. Like it's not going to be played at home arenas. Like, so that means you're going to take out a lot of drama aspect of it. You know what I mean? So it's when we play at neutral sites between Vegas and Florida, and I don't know, man. It's just
It's like AAU all over.
It's going to be Summer League / AAU. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And obviously, it's not going to be the biggest stage to play on. Like, how they going to do the finals? It's going to be, hey, we won the finals, and that's it. It's not going to, you know what I mean? It's not going to be like that big, you know what I'm saying, like championship celebration that we might see, like on somebody's home court with the confetti's flying and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be a neutral court. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's it. I'm over it, but I'm really over it. Right. Also, this last week that this didn't get enough headlines that it should, or a lot of talk. UCLA hired its first African American athletic director, former Boston College athletic director Martin Jamon. I think I'm pronouncing his last name right. Make sure I pronounce his last name. Yeah, Martin Jamon. He's the first African American athletic director in UCLA history. The first athletic director who has no ties or affiliation with the school. And this is big because, a lot of schools, they usually try to get somebody that's familiar with the program and a former student athlete, but they went a completely different route. And I think this might be good for them.
Yeah, I like it, man. I did some research on them. I knew who they hired and everything, but in preparation for this show, I really did a deep dive into who the guy was, man. And he's really impressive. He's taken the long road up. You know what I mean? Yeah. He was a two-time basketball captain at UNC Wilmington, and then he ended up getting his master's in sports administration, or MBA. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Then he was at Michigan State for a while. He worked his way up.
Yeah,
he went to Ohio State. Yeah, and then he ended up at Boston College. So I'm very proud of the brother, man. Like, it's really good to see somebody. I mean, it's good to see UCLA that they grabbed somebody that not the obvious choice, or like, oh, here's why they picked him. Nah, this dude really put in the work, man, and he worked with some really big-time programs. You know what I mean?
Yep,
he did some really good. I mean, he probably maximized his time out at Boston College, as you probably know since you're in the area.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I definitely like to hire a lot, and I'm glad to see somebody like him work his way up through the totem pole, former student athlete, to get to where he is right now.
Yeah, he was definitely making strides at Boston College. He had some fundraising going up for, they're trying to get a new building, new campus. I think they raised up to like $108 million.
Nice. Yeah, the capital campaign fund they had. Yeah, I read about that.
They got $108 million. He was definitely, firing the football coach when he did was a big move, just because of the football coach's affiliation with Boston College. Really popular guy in the program. So he was doing some stuff with Boston College that, they didn't see, and he was also.
And then brought an Ohio State guy to be the head coach for them.
Yeah, Jim Christian. He might have been fired. Just being honest, he might have been fired if not for the pandemic.
Wow.
Yeah, they weren't.
Wow, that's crazy.
They weren't progressing. But I like this because now UCLA, they need some new. They need some new energy. They've been losing recruits. The basketball program is not where it needs to be. The football program also is not where it needs to be. So this is going to bring some new energy. And also recruits are going to look at this as, maybe they see him there. This might be a great opportunity for them.
Absolutely, man. I mean, like you said, like his pedigree is insane, man. And then it's up to people like Chip Kelly. And I think this would be his third year with the Bruins. And then they hired the guy from Cincinnati, to coach the women's basketball team, and he's going into it. I think his name's Sean McDermott. I want to say something like that. I forgot his name, but yeah, he's coaching Cincinnati. But he's going into his second year. So I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what they do, man. And even their crosstown rival, USC, they kind of in the same boat too. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're kind of their football program. They've been they've been below their traditional standards for quite some time now. And then their basketball team is, pretty standard, nothing too crazy. Yeah. Even their baseball team, is not even that great anymore. So, we'll just see what happens. But I really do like the hire for UCLA. And I think along with the African-American woman, I can't think of her name right now, down in Vandy, she got the full-time position last week. And she's like the second African-American AD in the SEC conference. I believe Auburn has one too, and a couple other people out there. So, yes, a really good time to, that people are starting to get the ball rolling on hiring minorities in power positions in these Power 5 conferences.
You're talking about Candace Story Lee.
Yes, that's her. Yep. Who took over the her predecessor was another African American.
Malcolm Turner.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be good. And this is gonna actually set the bar. What he does is gonna set the bar for future African Americans athletic director for programs too, to look at African American athletic directors just that are not tied to the school. So his success, or what he does with UCLA, is definitely gonna have a ripple effect if it goes as planned.
Yeah, and even being in this time now is going to be tough because like when you hire a new person, he likes to bring in his own people.
Yeah.
And then like even with now, like schools are coming back on sports too, so he's coming into a very difficult situation that is not even in his control. So it'll be interesting to see like how he handles it in terms of bringing his own people and trying to set the standard when things are. We're not even sure we're even going to have fall sports going to be here yet. You know what I mean? So we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. And, we got a few more minutes left. Quickly, some NFL news. Cam Newton hasn't been signed by a team yet. And there's been a lot of quarterbacks who Cam is head and shoulders above that have been signed by teams. Recently, Joe Flacco. I have, with me, I always say African-American quarterbacks are not often given a second chance. No matter how great they were, once they have that little setback or whatever, teams are not quick to give them another chance to play again. And this is just another example of that.
Yeah. And I feel bad for Cam a little bit, man, but I think the stigma out there is like, I don't think he really wants to accept a backup role. You know what I mean? Because, Cam, since he's been in the headlights, just been in the shining moment, man, since his days at Florida. Since that incident that happened at Florida and then him going to Blinn College and doing his thing. When he got to Auburn, man, he's been the head honcho alpha male, you know what I mean? So now he's at that crossroads in his career, like, bro, like you're going to have to accept a backup role. And I don't know if teams can believe in him. I don't think that's in him to accept that because he's been the number one guy wherever he's been, you know what I mean? But to your point, I mean, like, unfortunately, that has been the case for some black quarterbacks. I know Donovan McNabb had a couple extra shots after he left Philly going to Washington and Minnesota, and I know Dante Culpepper went to Miami. But yeah, man, I mean, like, and Michael Vick went to Pittsburgh, Philly, and those two teams. But yeah, I mean, hopefully I want to see Cam get picked up. Like, speaking of that, man, like, what y'all gonna do in the New England area, man? Because y'all just got Graham Harrell, like.
Our the quarterback situation for the Patriots is not good. Everybody keeps telling me that I should believe in Jarrett Stidham, but I can't.
Jared Stidham. I said Graham Harrell. I'm about to say Jarrett Stidham.
They might as well be the same person because I can't. I honestly can't believe in a guy who got pulled from a preseason game last year. Also, the last time I saw him in an SEC game, he was just god awful. And Brian Hoyer,
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's a lot of things happening here. So
y'all still have Brian Hoyer?
Yeah, got Brian Hoyer and Cody Kessler. Man. Those are the three quarterbacks.
Y'all got Cody Kessler?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, man.
The Cowboys apparently offered Dak a new deal. I think what is it going to be, like $40 million a year or something like that?
$45 million for his last year, man. I know that's what he wanted. I know just being around the organization, they really like Dak, man. My whole thing is like Dak's the type of player that needs everything perfect around him to be great. You know what I mean? Like if it's one slip up, his game is going to be off. You know what I mean? I know coming into this year, not going to have center Travis Frederick, which is a huge loss for them, man, even though they got some guys to kind of come in and kind of fill that void, but that's going to be a huge loss. And then towards the end of last year, even when Dak wasn't practicing, you can tell he was off, even though he had a good game against the Washington Redskins in Week 17. The game that they really needed him to have a really good game was Week 16 against Philly, and they straight up just pooped the bed, man. It wasn't all on him, you know what I mean? Just give him credit, but, Amari Cooper had a bad game with some drops, and the whole offense was just lackluster, but at the same time, Dak didn't play good at all as well. And there was other games too. Like people like to bring up, his season numbers that he had, which looks good on paper. But at the end of the day, like it was like 6 games where he didn't really play that good. You know what I mean? And like, for example, against the Jets, he was awful against the Jets last year. Terrible. He was awful against the Buffalo Bills on Thanksgiving. He was awful against Philly in Week 16 and against New Orleans too. So it was some games out there where he might have thrown 30-plus touchdowns and maybe had like 9 interceptions and threw for over 4,000 yards there. That's cool, but you have to go back and look at the game-by-game numbers and say, okay, well, maybe some of these numbers are really inflated, which I think it was.
Yeah, and when they went up against teams over 500, it was the big moments for him, the big moments for the team to make a play. They never made a play.
Yeah, and to your point, it wasn't all on Dak. Let's just be fair here. I hate when people try to put everything on the quarterback, like, oh, he's the reason why they lost the game. No, he's not playing offense, and he's not playing defense, and he's not playing special teams. So let's just get that right. So, but he does deserve some of the blame, a lot of the blame actually, because he's a signal caller. But it's not all his fault. So I actually like the Mike McCarthy hire, and I like what they did in the draft, but we'll just see what happens with his contract situation, man. I know he'll get his money and they'll get that thing worked out.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the quarterback's the most overpaid position. So if you got a quarterback, you're gonna have to overpay him no matter what.
That's what I'm saying. Like, people just, Dak shouldn't get this amount of money. I'll be the first person to tell you, I would never get mad at nobody trying to maximize whatever opportunity they can to be more profitable when it comes to playing, especially a violent game like football, bro, because your career can end real quick, man. You know what I mean? So whatever you need to do, maximize your opportunity to get as much money as you can.
Most definitely. All right. Before we get out of here, please let them know where they can find you, your work, social media, all that good stuff.
Sure thing, man. Y'all can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Ben Bulljob. That is at Ben Bulljob, BenBulljive. I got that nickname when I was in middle school, and I just kind of been keeping it ever since then. So, you can check me out. You also check me out on YouTube. Just search me on YouTube, Benjamin Bullock, and you'll see me pop up. Just go ahead and subscribe to there. And I'm going to bring Crunch Time back, not this week, but probably next week. I'm working on all the branding and getting some stuff made to bring this thing back. So it won't be all about sports. We'll focus in on maybe a little politics, some other things as well. But we'll just see. We'll see how I'm excited about it, though.
And you got the Delaware State.
Yes, sir. I always got ready for Dell State, bro. You already see it, man.
You know, the HBCU has been putting out people. They've been putting out a lot of stars. So Delaware State, y'all got a few people in the –
we got one right now. We got one in the media world. Absolutely. Yeah. So shout out to Tony Anderson, working for
that's my guy.
Yeah, that's my man right there. Rest in peace to my man Mike Feeney. I don't think you know who he was, but yeah, so rest in peace to him. I died about 2015. And then we have another, I can't think of her name right now, but she works for BT.
Jamila?
What's her name?
Jamila?
Yeah, that's her. Yep, Jamila. Yep, she was a student when I worked there. So yeah, man, we're trying to make a splash, man. We're not like A&T and Howard and FAMU and Morehouse and all of them, man. We got to work for what we got. I'm not saying they don't work, but we're a small unit, man. We don't have that fanfare like a lot of those other schools do. But it's all love.
No doubt for the HBCUs.
Yes, sir.
HBCUs putting out people. I wouldn't say I'd see you at NABJ, but we ain't gonna be there till I'll see you in Houston.
Hey, man, that's like a 3.5 hour drive for me. So y'all coming down to Lone Star State, man. I can't wait for y'all to come down here, man. It's gonna be a good thing, man.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, sir, once again for taking the time to speak with me. This was great. Pleasure.
Hey, man, appreciate you, bro, man. Let me know when you want me back on, man. I'll hop back on again.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
Yes, sir, man. I'll holler at you.
No doubt. Have a good one.
You too.
All right. You guys have been watching the Plus One interview. That was Benjamin Bullock. Have a great day, ladies and gentlemen.